The Minister of Police, the ministry rather, led by Minister Senzo Mchunu and Deputy Ministers Kasal Matale and Poli Bushielo will hold an update today. They aim to discuss the priorities regarding the nation's safety and security. Mchunu will also release the previously unpublished fourth quarter crime statistics. But let's now get an analysis from Dr. Hennie Lochner, who is an independent crime researcher, of what might come out from the new police minister and his deputies. Dr. Lochner, good morning to you and welcome to the AM report. Really good to have you with us. So I want to start with this actually. I think as we start to see the new leadership of this administration give us the outline from their priorities. I mean, provincially, we saw the finance MEC do that here in Gauteng yesterday, really outlining their priorities. It starts to give us a sense of what each of these new leaders is going to be prioritizing. But let's start with Senzo Mchunu. If you think, to start off with, if you think that he's the right man for the job.
My take on it is, let's give him a chance. What's alarming for me is that his background is education, and the police have learned in the past about appointing ministers and commissioners who does not have police experience.
Yeah.
But the meeting that's going to be held today, there's a very important word in the invitation. And it said they want to take us into their confidence. So that is a very, very positive word.
Yeah. In your view, I mean, if you were in that position, what is the first thing that you would highlight as a really important priority for a brand new minister in a country such as ours?
I would like to see him making words and using words like responsibility, accountability. If he do that, I think he's definitely on the right track. And I am also positive about the appointment of Cameron. Yes, I hope he would support Cameron.
Okay, I'm really keen to also just talk a little bit about what needs to be done, I suppose, to continue capacitating the SAPS. I mean, one of the things that we've talked about a lot within our SAPS is a low morale of members. You've got members, for instance, that are dealing with increasing workloads. And then, of course, you've got to deal with even crime within the SAPS, right? How is it that a minister can really deal with some of those top three issues?
I think he must start with accountability. That is the number one. Then visible policing or the prevention of crime. So if he starts and address that, I think it will lift the morale as well and appoint people that can do the job. So that's the basics of policing. And then also. A word that I like to use, we call it administrative discipline. So yeah, that is the administrative discipline. Let me explain to you this. At the back of you can say each and every toilet, there's a little sign that said no work is finished until the paperwork is done. So get the administrative duties in order, and then you move over to the prevention of crime. And remember, Section 205 of the Constitution 3 listed 6 things that the SAPS must done. And they have listed them not in chronological order, but in the order of importance. And it starts with prevention. If prevention fails, all the other things that must fall into place, and we do not need and we do not want them to fall in place, like combat, investigation of crime. So prevention is the golden word, and prevention means visibility. That visible, but I can, for example, go on your way back home today. Look for a police vehicle that's been marked, let's say, Bramley visible policing, or in Siaya. Then you will see 6 members inside, and 5 of them is on their cell phones, busy looking, I do not know what, and only the driver is concentrating on what's going outside. So it is prevention, and it is a fact. If you prevent small crimes, you automatically prevent serious crime. And prevention also leads to better information, which leads to better intelligence.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we need to talk a little bit about, and it's just interestingly, this has been a talking point in the US as well, but certainly one that needs to be looked at here in South Africa, firearm control, particularly firearms that are in the usage of police, of the police force themselves, and somehow find themselves out into the black market. I mean, what are controls, for instance, the minister needs to be put in place to dealing with that matter that, if anything, exacerbates crime in South Africa?
Yeah. Yes, I agree. But let's go back to my first point, administrative discipline. Police firearms will not be available in the black market or for hire if there is administrative discipline around firearms. Sorry, let me go back to accountability. You have raised the point about what's happened in America now. Accountability. Somebody's going to bite the dust, and it will not be the people that was working on the ground. It's higher up. So if you want to enforce administrative responsibility, start at the top, because each and every one of them's got a performance agreement. You do not knock down the constable and the sergeant. You ask the question from the divisional commissioner or the area commissioner, and that's how we're going to tackle this crime. And I know, and I hope, and I believe that Cameron will tackle this problem. Although he's only in the portfolio committee, but it will start with him.
You know, we need to talk about resources, obviously, and, you know, the budget that's allocated towards the SAPS. I think, what is it, over 113 billion rand over the current financial year, set to go to 124 billion in 2025, 2026. Are we allocating money sufficiently for the SAPS to capacitate itself? You talk about really needing to see more and more visibility on your drive home. How much police visibility do you see as you aim to get home safely? Is the budget allocation sufficient in your view?
It will never be sufficient. But look at the following. If you drive home today, look at the police patrol vehicle. We call it the van. Look at the flaps at the back. Sometimes it looks worse than our national flag that's in front of the police stations. It's torn to pieces, and it's my and your money. So there must be accountability, but resources, we need more resources, but at the end of the day, is the money available?
Yeah. Where are the areas that you think that investment really needs to go more to? I mean, I think about areas, for instance, like Nyanga, that a few years ago was the murder capital of the country. And even around that time, a discussion around how there simply isn't enough of, and certainly not just police presence. I'm talking about the facility that was there in and of itself, simply not enough to service that community. Go to a community like Diepsloot, for instance, here in Gauteng, another big issue where, the police precinct, they're simply not having enough resources to cover what is a small physical space, but highly condensed in terms of how many people are living in that small space.
Yeah. Again, I'm going back to my old story. It's administrative discipline, very, very good planning. If you cannot plan, you cannot execute. And you need a police official to do the planning. The culture in the police is different from the culture in education. But let's give the minister a chance. My answer is planning, accountability. That will lead definitely to the prevention of crime and visibility. We need people visible. Can I give you an example where I stay in George?
Yes.
In George, they use we call it the traffic van. It's randomly stopped at places to check for outstanding parking tickets and traffic fines. When that vehicle is in a specific place, standing in a specific place for 2 hours, shoplifting drop, the young boys playing, then when that van is visible, the young boys is playing rugby and soccer at the nearby field. So that's visibility. They trust visibility.
Yeah, it of course requires a great working relationship with the community, and that's where I suppose even structures like community policing forums really play an interesting role. Well, we will be watching for that briefing when the police minister does give us that update and really outline some of the top priorities for his ministry. Thank you so much to Dr. Hennie Lochner, who is an independent crime researcher, speaking to us there and highlighting over and over again accountability and administrative order, really what's necessary within the SAPSJ.